more things.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kickabout Show, a brand new, wonderful grassroots show about the lads and talking about all the topics that we want to talk about. This week, we are talking about Liverpool and the possibility of Liverpool winning the quadruple. In the studio, we have Dunk, Big Steve, the Angry One, and Neil. Let's get straight into it, sirs. But before we do, actually, if you like what you hear, what you see, people, please hit the notification button, subscribe, follow us on all platforms: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Dunk, Liverpool, quadruple. Definitely, that has to be the biggest achievement by any English club if they do win it.
I don't know.
Yes.
The Invincibles was quite an achievement. So
You think
it was pretty good. You know, it's not been done many times.
As good as the quadruple?
Possibly not quite. We'll elevate the quadruple to just a little bit higher. Yeah. So again, like quadruple's never been done. Like you have Man U it was that did the treble. So that was quite an achievement. Arsenal, the Invincibles, obviously a really good achievement. Again, that's only been done a couple of times in the history of we'll say the English First Division, because, you know, we remember football before the Premier League. But yeah, the quadruple, that's a serious achievement. And again, like I don't think clubs used to take the League Cup seriously. So maybe that's one reason why it hasn't been done before. So I think it's nice that Liverpool took it seriously. They didn't really field too many like reserve teams, or maybe their like second string is just more capable of coming into a game and performing, unlike some other teams. But yeah, it's good to see them taking the cup seriously, and it would be some serious achievement if they were able to put it off.
Well, they're flying, or they're doing well in the Champions League. Won the first leg against Villarreal 2-0. A game they didn't particularly play well, but they managed to get the win. Neil, who do you think they'll rather play in the final between Real Madrid and Man City?
Villarreal, isn't that Emery?
Yes,
doing absolute bits, right? What a great manager. Who would let him go as he takes clubs to new directions? Odd one, that. Who would I rather
4-0
play?
Baku? I don't think so.
Who would I rather play? Between Real Madrid and Chelsea, I think you've got Real Madrid and Man City. Man City lack of strikers. You know what you're going to get with them. Real Madrid potentially nowhere near at the best as they used to be. They still won La Liga though. Benzema, absolute world-class striker, right? I think he walks into most teams, if not all teams in the world. Maybe you take Lewandowski off. I don't know. You wouldn't buy Lewandowski over him, but if you're Munich, you wouldn't take him off. I think he's that good. He's a game changer, and there's no one else really with that level of game changing abilities in there from one player. I think so. I think Liverpool will be more wary, and they've beat City before, right? And Klopp versus Pep is usually Klopp's, and I think he'll relish that opportunity a lot more.
Well, Liverpool is in every tournament, looking like anything can happen. The fixtures in the Premier League, they have Newcastle next, Wolves, and then West Ham. Big Steve, do you see them drawing any of those games?
There's a Tottenham one in there as well.
There's a Tottenham one. No.
Tottenham's next.
No, that's the Liverpool. I said Man City.
Oh, sorry. I don't see Man City dropping any points, really. Potentially a draw of a game, but generally I just don't see them dropping any points.
Where do you see a draw between Newcastle? So Newcastle at home, Wolves away, West Ham away. Where do you possibly see that draw coming out from? Because clearly you've mentioned West Ham away. You've mentioned Tottenham, Liverpool, and for some reason you think Tottenham might be able to do something at Liverpool's ground.
Definitely, Tottenham's got the tools to beat Liverpool up front. Liverpool playing that high line is perfect for Harry Kane and Son to breach it. And if Son goes through, if you give him more than a couple of chances, he will score. Even though Alisson's a great goalkeeper, and in the last few games, he has actually pulled off a lot of saves one-on-one to save Liverpool, conceding a goal. But Son and Kane are a different quality. So Son going through, I think he scores.
I mean, we have seen games where Son and Kane have been absolutely amazing. And we're also seeing games that they've been amazing, but their defense lets them down. So they're
Mhm.
playing possibly the best defense in the Premier League, if not the best. You don't think that defense is good enough to contain those players and still give Liverpool the momentum they have
The
playing the high line?
the defense is capable, but the fact of the matter is it plays a high line. So teams are still getting chances against Liverpool, but it's when people are going through on Allison, they're not converting them. Son is a different kettle of fish. If he goes through, he's a very, very, very good finisher. So I believe he will score.
In Liverpool have a surplus of wonderful options in front with Luis Diaz, wonderful signing, Mane, Jota, who isn't world class yet. And one of the conversations is happening, but a player that stood out this season for them, and initially last season, everybody was saying, well, not everybody, a lot of people mentioned the fact that he used to slow their football down. They're angry on what do you think of Thiago this season? And the way, as I mean, Liverpool now actually play a midfield that actually supplies true passes instead of just going through Trent and Robertson.
Yeah, he's much better. He's looking like the player that they said he was going to be this season. Because last season he wasn't. It might have been taken him a little while to adapt. Maybe they've done some tweaks off in training, so that actually everybody understands the way they want him, how they want him to function within the team. I don't know, whatever it is anyway. But yeah, he's actually looking like worth stuff. What did they pay for him? 25, 35 mil. Looking like like a snip this season.
25.
Yeah, this season. And he's doing what they wanted him to do, what they bought him for. So yeah, let's see.
Is this a case of, I mean, Neil, when you look at this, is this a case of Liverpool doing their homework really well and implementing a structure that's just over time? So they bought Thiago for 25 million, they bought Canute for 45 million, they bought Luis Diaz for 40 million. And when you look at these players and what they are doing, these are guys that possibly could have been more expensive. How is it that nobody else saw those players or nobody else was willing to go for those players?
No one else saw Mane either. Let's get it right. Like Mane, Diego Jota.
No,
So
Van
they're
Gaal
doing.
actually wanted to buy money.
So they're doing. Yeah, but he was never going to go to a dead club. Um, so they're doing more research on players and just their statistics, right? They're looking at work rate, they're looking at characteristics, they're looking at do they fit in with the team, can they play to what they're playing for. Uh, Klopp's had time at Liverpool, not because he was given time, because he's earned time. He was doing what they needed to do and earned the trust of the fans and the board and the players. He's got his own staff in that he obviously gets on really well with, and they're on the same page, and that's really important, right? They know what he wants, and they're looking for that. They're not just signing world class players to come in and get go in that team, right? They bought Diego Jota that he's doing really, really well there, and potentially he's going to be world class. We don't know, but he's elevated to another level of another quality of team than where he was at before, which makes life a lot better for him. But he's obviously got the characteristics to fit in, so they definitely do their homework. They more than deserve to be where they're at, and the time that they've been given to implement what they've got. He's got that structure in. So they're looking for so we're looking when they bought Thiago in, they're looking for a midfielder. They're looking for what that midfielder needs to bring. And they're like, well, who do we get? We've got a budget of X amount, for example. Well, we need these characteristics. Is he going to fit in the changing room? Right, perfect. What's his mentality? How does he deal with if he loses the ball? Is his head going down when he's losing the ball, or is he keeping his head up? Is he looking for the pass? So it's not just on the ball. I imagine they're probably checking so much more off the ball than on. The statistics will be ridiculous because that's the key part of the transition, right? Of how we're reacting off the ball and where we're going to. He got injured a bit when he first signed, so it's been a bit unfair on him to say if he's been the player that he's been destined to be. He's obviously getting a good game time now. But they're geared up with, we want you to play here. So we're signing a player to play in that position. They've not done what Chelsea did with signing Lukaku and going, oh yeah, we're signing a strike then. And completely fudging it. It just doesn't work. They've got a proper structure and a proper formation, and they're bringing in players in to play that formation, and that pays dividends to them having clear, concise targets for transfers. No one ever hears that Liverpool didn't get their man, right? Because they know who they're going to get.
To be
Who did
fair,
they not
they've done their business really well, and it's quick, low key. You don't really hear as much media presence as you hear for other clubs, and trying to get players, and he goes up, down, up, down. But speaking about, if you look at every forward player in Liverpool and how they contribute to the team and how they play with what Klopp is trying to implement, it's just something that they've gotten right for the past, at least since Klopp has been there. Speaking about the front players, Mane is, we talk about consistency when it comes to world class, and that's one of the arguments we've had when people say Jota is in world class, yet he needs more time, that consistent. In terms of consistency, Mane has been consistent. But there was an argument I had, or a conversation I had with some people off air, and Mane is being compared with Ryan Giggs. Dunk, Mane, Ryan Giggs. Who would you pick in your Premier League team of all times?
Who would I pick?
Yeah.
Like that's a different question to like comparing the two. Who's got the greater legacy?
So here's the argument. Let me paint it out for you.
Go on then.
Statistically, Mane has more goals, I think, than Ryan Giggs. I don't know if he has it yet, and I think assists. So the argument was that the football and the style of football played in from the beginning of when Giggs came in, and the style of football playing now is very different. And maybe that's why Giggs has, I think, the highest assists in the Premier League, but that's because of time, and he was an outright winger. But people are talking about, the most difficult thing to do is to score a goal, and Mane, the way Mane is playing. So there were actually people picking Mane over Giggs in this conversation I'm talking about. But I don't know. I don't know how you see it. How do you see it?
So that would be funny, would it? Picking Mane over Giggs. That'd be a funny thing to do, would it?
I don't know. People have their choices. If I remember well, somebody picked Tierney as an attacking position, not too far away from this studio. Yeah, but what do you think? What do you think, the angry one?
They're not the same player. They both play on the left, but one's a winger, one's a left forward. So they don't form the same role. So you really can't compare them, really. So if you're playing in a club system in the modern game 4-3-3, I'm going to pick Mane over Giggs because he's going to give me more goals, he's going to give me more assists, and he can play across the front three. He's more versatile. If I'm playing a flat 4-4-2, when I want the guy to get down the wing and cross it, or even a 3-5-2 when I want a left back to play in a forward position, then I'd probably play Giggsy because he's going to get down to the byline and get it in, twine people up. So it's horses for courses. They're different players. If you're just going to say, because they both play on the left, who would I pick? I'd pick Mane still because he's going to get me goals because he would suit the formation I wanted to play.
Well, interesting. It's an amazing view when it comes to the comparison. Neil, what do you think? Mane v Giggs.
I think Mike's right. Like one played 4-4-2, the other one's playing 4-3-3. So how would Giggs have played as a left forward? Probably would have scored way more goals. In all honesty, that Man United team that he was in, if he was playing up front as a front three, and the football was the same football as now, Ryan Giggs knew where the goal was. He scored some fantastic goals against Arsenal.
But he only had one leg, though.
He did only have one leg, but that was a damn sweet leg, right? But he also had a career of 22 years, at least in the Prem. So I'm thinking longevity, a player that's going to be a one club man, he's going to give everything. Then, Giggs is going to be, he's never going to go to a tournament. It's always a bonus. He doesn't disappear at Christmas because he hasn't got to play in another tournament. So those are bonuses for me when I'm looking at signing a player. Plus, his commitment levels were insane, right?
Where will he be at Christmas, Neil? Will he be around his brother's wife's house?
I mean, I don't know where Giggs will be at Christmas. Probably somewhere having some Christmas dinner, right? But he wouldn't be playing in a cup competition, right? So that's for me the bonus side of Giggs.
Yeah, but no, he's
different
got
eras as well.
But he's got a 2-star weak foot on FIFA though, and Mane's got a 4-star. I'm just saying, can't play. He can't play across the front line.
The man's chalked on FIFA. Chalked.
Yeah,
you can't use
dead.
it. Discard.
Yeah, he's dead. It's awful, and he can't play. He can't play across the front line, so he can literally only play on the left as a winger. Whereas Mane,
if there's anybody out there from FIFA, please endorse Dunk and the Angry One. They seem to love it. They seem to love it. Probably even more than their kids.
Even his mum's card is dead.
Big Steve,
wait a minute, I've got kids.
You don't? Big Steve, Mane has been consistent since joining Liverpool. However, I still feel but in terms of the noise that's been made about him compared to the likes of Salah, I don't think it's up there. Why is that? Is it because he comes, does what he does? I mean, he's won the Nations Cup with Senegal. He's been consistent. He's like, it's that you rarely or barely hear man is out of form, even compared to the other players. So why is he not up there?
He's just not. I don't know. He's just not appreciated. He's almost as effective, you could say, as Salah in games. I don't think he's that far behind on goals scored for Liverpool. Behind Salah.
No, he is a tiny bit. Tiny
In Premiership
bit.
goals, that's what they both got over.
They have got. I
They're
think
both over the 100 mile.
Yeah, they have. But Salah has scored over 20 goals for the past 4 or 5 seasons or 4 seasons.
I still don't think the gap's that big. To be honest, but anyway, I just don't think he's appreciated as to the way he helps the team and affects the team, because he's very important to them.
So,
who's not appreciating him? Sorry, I'm missing this. Like, I don't think there's any Liverpool. Like, and let's be honest, no Man United fans are going to appreciate Mane, right? From the point of view, they're going to pick Giggs over Mane. But who's not appreciated Mane? Like, he's got to be up there with the top 10 players in the Prem at the moment.
You're probably talking media hype, like people hype up Salah. Salah World Football
in the headlines. You'll hear Salah, you'll hear Jota. You don't hear Mane's name all the time, the way it should be. I think the way he affects.
Yeah, but Mane can get dropped, right?
Mane
can get dropped and replaced quite easy now because you've got Luis to come on, right?
Yeah, but
no,
because
he's the one that hardly gets dropped.
Mane's playing in the middle.
Yeah, he's the one that hardly gets dropped. He's usually
you've got a new left player. They've got Jota that you're saying is getting more hype. So from that sentence, you're saying that he's getting more game time. But if Mane's more versatile, that's his own issue, right? And he's going to end up doing himself.
Jamie Carragher actually said that there's the possibility that Luis Diaz is the replacement for Salah, especially if Salah decides to move on at a certain point. Salah still hasn't signed a contract, has he?
He said at the end of the season he was going to. He didn't want to distract from this season. It's really hard to sign a bit of paper with agents and everyone else involved, man. Like you just don't understand.
It is really hard, especially with Klopp just signing one in like 2 seconds. It's a very difficult thing to do. Very difficult thing. I mean, I'm not trying to pick apart the Liverpool team, but just trying to look at clearly the players that Klopp has brought together is a good gel. In the midfield, you have Henderson that doesn't play every game, but when he's influential where he plays, Fabinho. Of course, we all know what Trent and Robertson does. Alisson, Van Dijk. A couple of episodes ago, Neil did mention, when we're talking about players trying to get into the Hall of Fame, Neil mentioned Rio Ferdinand and Van Dijk, and Rio Ferdinand being way better than Van Dijk as it stands. And Rio Ferdinand having to face better quality in terms of strikers compared to what Van Dijk is facing now. The angry one, do you agree with that?
Yeah. The era of Ferdinand, you had some strikers there. Yeah, you had the own reason that, but now in the Prem at the moment, striker wise, I mean it's almost a different game because you're not really facing strikers anymore. You've got Harry Kane. What other striker is there after that? Really, because
Woods for Newcastle.
Yeah. Eddie Nketiah,
Lukaku bench warmer.
Yeah. But after that, it's more forwards, and the forwards really are attacking the fullbacks or cutting across. So Ferdinand wouldn't have to deal with them anyway, unless he's playing left or right or back three. So it's not the same kettle of fish because it's almost like it's a different game now. So he wouldn't come across Salah that much unless he came across because he's got and he played 4-4-2. So that's not his guy really. Whether Van Dijk's better than Ferdinand, I think Ferdinand's better. I think personally because he could do it all and he could bring the ball out like a Rolls Royce. What a player! And he's from Peckham, so there you go.
I think positionally Van Dijk has to be a bit more aware because in Ferdinand days, as Mike said, they're playing 4-4-2. You had a man, and you could be touch tight to the man, and you in your position. But with the way teams are playing nowadays, with false nines, forwards coming in off the flanks, as a centre back, you have to be more aware of your space and what's going on around you, being in much more communication with your defensive pairing. Yeah. So to me, it's a completely different game.
In comparison to the way Klopp sets out his team, so last season when Liverpool had the crisis and Van Dijk was injured and they didn't have a good replacement centre back, or they didn't have other players that could come in and fill the spot. I think Gomez was injured too. So Klopp's strategy and tactics, is it based very highly on the individual performance, or is it a system approach? Because for example, with Pep, you could possibly even put John Stones to play up front and you play the same, the quality of football will still move around. But with Klopp, is it very highly based on the individual performance? Dunk?
So you're you're saying that Man City would play the same quality of football with John Stones up front? I just
No, I'm
park
not.
that to the side for 1 second. Yeah, I think like definitely with Klopp, there's a lot of individualism in the team and signing those types of players. So we've seen what happens, like what happened when Van Dijk went out. Really hard to place. Obviously, he's like one of the best centre backs in the world. Also, the fullbacks. Like they can't have been injured that much, can they? Robertson and Trent in the last couple of seasons. Like you saw what happened with them last year when Van Dijk was out. What would happen to them if one of those lads went out? That would really, I think that would probably be one of the worst injuries for Liverpool. Those positions, because they're so key in defending and providing assists. But yeah, like Neil was saying, Klopp brings players in. They have their position in the squad. He's not going to change systems too much when he's going into games or during games. He's getting the players for those positions, and you've got to give him some big credit for being a manager who adds value to players. He, like you mentioned earlier, you listed off quite a few transfers in that kind of 20 to 40 million range. And then you look at someone like Peps, who's got a bit of reputation as a checkbook manager. They might be able to just go, right, we need a striker, 80 million, Grealish, 100 million. We need a winger. Although with Grealish, what was it? We need a backup winger. He's 100 million. And then there was, what was it? Was it last season or 2 seasons ago? They were just throwing 50 million at fullbacks left, right and centre. So you've got to give Klopp some credit in the way he's gone about things. And just bought those kind of like, they wouldn't be unknowns, but they'd be like mid-range players who people know would be decent. But then they come to Liverpool and they're really elevating in his systems.
With Big Steve sees the possibility of City having a draw. Neil, do you think Liverpool, we've mentioned Tottenham going there and it might be tricky. Do you see Liverpool dropping any points from now to the end of the season?
Yes. They're going to wrap their players up like cotton wool. I think they're after the semi. It's going to be one of those ones where they want to get over the line. I think that they've already made changes. You've seen that. I think Gomez came into the team. I think he might have played fullback the other day. I think that's a sign that they're looking to make sure that they've got their key players available. So that's the potential banana skin that they might slip up on. They need to be careful because there's a lot of games coming thick and fast, and not everyone can play at 100%. 2-3 times a week almost that they need to be. And I think this is where you find out the depth of the Liverpool squad and how good it really is mentally. There's not one problem with that. There's no one in there that you think is weak. I think they pick each other up really well. I think you see that in the games. They look like a complete unit and very cohesive, which I think is a testament to Klopp and his captains, because they do captain the team. You don't see them in-house shouting. You never see that. Even when they were absolutely getting spanked by Aston Villa, they were trying to pick each other up at some particular point, and I think that's a key thing. I don't think we probably speak about Liverpool next season and their transfers that they'll need to make in order to further progress the team. But yeah, I think maybe they'll potentially get one draw at the end, and I think that might stop them winning the league. Whereas I think City will just continue.
So that then spoils the party of the quadruple. The angry one would be so happy. But Neil just mentioned the squad. So their forward lineup, they have Jota, Luis Diaz, Origi, Firmino, Salah. From what I'm hearing, Neil, you actually think there's an issue in terms of depth of the squad? You think they don't have like?
I don't think anyone's saying their forwards are there's 6 players there that would get into most Premier League teams.
No, I'm not
right?
just talking about the forward. I'm talking about everything. I mean, I mentioned the forwards.
I think we talked about the fullbacks earlier, and I think the fullback is so key in football at the moment. It's moved on from the Gary Neville days of how he played football. Nothing, no disrespect to Gary, because he was a great fullback at the time. But if you look at what's now needed from them, Trent Alexander-Arnold is a fullback. In my day, he was a right winger or a forward, right? Because his tackling ability is poor at best. But that's the modern game. But he's in there. But they didn't have a replacement for him. They didn't have a replacement for Robertson. They didn't have a replacement for Van Dijk. You don't replace Van Dijk, but they didn't have fullback replacements, which I think's kind of maybe a big downfall from that point of view. You're not going to get anyone of the quality of those two. But when they're out, who are you putting in those positions? Who comes in the centre back that you're instilling? They've got a great goalkeeper. And then I look at the midfield and I think it's all right. Thiago's probably the best in there and comes across that way. He's head and shoulders above the rest. And it's just not average, but I think Liverpool average now is a lot higher than it used to be, and they haven't quite got that level when they've got their key players out. I mean, Man City have a bigger depth of squad. Like if their fullbacks are out or their centre backs are out, Pep's changing them for fun, right? He's like, I don't need Diet Pepsi this week. I've got Coca-Cola. Like literally, it's like that for them. And Liverpool don't have that luxury. So from that point of view, I think Man City do have the slight advantage. But forward-wise, definitely Liverpool have the advantage.
Well, managerial watch, and I like to do that with the two wonderful gentlemen that love their ripping managers apart. The angry one. If you could criticize Klopp in any way or shape or form with something he does wrong, which would be difficult considering he's going for a quadruple, but what's the one thing that you think he can actually improve on in the Liverpool team?
On the pitch, really, I can't really complain about the guy. I do agree, though, that he probably needed to strengthen. Well, not probably. He needs to strengthen his squad in key areas. He's done it, and he started doing it in the forward areas, but he's lacking at the back, particularly in the fullback areas. He knows what he wants to play. He plays it, and then it's just whether you can stop him playing it, really. So I can't criticize him too much, especially as you say, he's in a quadruple. He's starting to get my nerves a little bit, probably because he's successful, really. But I just feel like he's a bit condescending now, because when he loses, he acts like a bit of a twat. When he wins, he's all gracious and saying, "Oh, how hard the game was," and that, even though you won 7-0, it wasn't a hard game, mate. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, but I think that happens when people get too successful. You start to find ways that they annoy you. So, I mean, he's a top manager. I can't really knock him, and I like the way his team plays.
Big Steve, so looking at Liverpool from last season and what they're doing now, Van Dijk, everybody came back. So what is the one thing that you think Klopp did or is doing that's taking the team even a bit further than they were?
He's improved them in terms of the player that they thought they signed in Thiago is now actually the central of their midfield with Fabinho. He's actually dictating games. They wasn't getting that from him last season. He's added quality with Diaz, although I think it was a signing they were pushed to do because they were looking to do him in the summer. The one bit I'd say, if I had to fault him, is that he doesn't have flexibility in his style. It's one way, and that's it. He doesn't have. He can't change it, which is what the great managers could do. Even Ferguson, in his pomp at Man United, there was games when he could change his personnel, change his formation, and win the game. Klopp hasn't come to that.
What does
bridge
Klopp
yet.
need to? I disagree on that. Ferguson's a good barometer of top quality managers, but Liverpool don't need to change the style of play to play anybody when you're that good. But that's how much better they are than even like the best Man United team at the time weren't that much better than everyone else. But Liverpool are that much more cohesive and better as a unit. I feel that why change it?
Everyone talks about you should always have a plan B.
Only if your plan A ain't good enough.
I'm not saying. I just think that if there's one fault, that's what I would like to see from him, is have the ability. Yes, you play your way, and yes, it's successful. But is can he do it?
But he doesn't need to.
There will be a time that he may need to do it. He had a lot of injuries last season in centre back, and he had to change stuff around. Yeah,
So
would
he
have been
has got
interesting.
plenty.
Would have been interesting to see if he would change formation.
No, but hold on. Isn't that the same criticism we level at Pep, who changed it for no reason? And we go, oh, he's always changing, tinkering. Why has he played a false man in the final? Why has he done that?
I didn't say always change it.
But
I
if you
didn't say
don't
always
change
change
it,
it game to game.
but if I'm winning, playing this way, I'm just changing it for the hell of it then, aren't I?
Yeah, but there's some games. So you're saying that there's been no games you've seen Liverpool play where they've struggled and say maybe change the formation.
No, but changes it in game.
Could affect a game.
But he changes it in
Say
game. All of the managers will change tactics in game. But
I don't see Klopp doing that.
But it's so subtle that you're not going to necessarily see it. Unless he makes a big change, three at the back or something, or one at the back, you're not going to notice.
Personally, I can't recall Klopp doing that.
Yeah, Steve just wants Klopp to go
Because
flexing,
you
go
watch every
smack
game,
someone
yeah.
down with a 3-5-2.
Yeah, because you watch every single. I'm telling you, they change it all the time.
4-5-1.
But
Literally, just play a flat back four. But that's really, I suppose, maybe disrespectful for Klopp, because I think he does change it a lot. But I don't think he needs to change the formation and the style of play. It's when you've got that
Personal
good
or
of players-
formation?
I think it's subtle. He changes
Personal or
subtly.
formation?
He doesn't change the formation. Why would you? The personnel can go from left to right. Mane could play left or right or centre.
Yeah,
I've seen Salah move through the
personnel's
game.
fine.
I've seen Trent play left and right, and I've seen Robertson swap over to give it because they've got that technicalness about them. I think that's kind of the key thing. But I think Liverpool only struggle when teams play maybe 10 at the back, and that's harder to break down in compactness. But what do you do from that? You can't put 10 up front at that particular point to try and combat it. You kind of just have to find a way of playing through the gaps.
I remember, but we had an episode when we were talking about Pep versus Klopp, and one of the points that was actually mentioned is strategy, where Pep can be in the game, he has that ability to overthink, which doesn't happen too often. But you can actually notice switches in the game when he's changing strategy and this person playing in a different position. And Klopp is a case of, if his first 11 isn't performing, he just swaps like for like. Okay, this guy's having a bad day, so go in. Probably is that what you're saying, Steve? That he does more of the personnel change than formation change, there is that. It's difficult to criticize a man that is going for a quadruple, but there is that element of the game.
It's not a criticism. The question was, what would I like to see from him? That's what I would like to see. That's it. It's not a criticism because he's successful doing what he's doing. Yeah, but at the end of the day, I would just like to see that ability. I haven't seen it. That's what I'm saying.
Because you don't need it.
Yeah, basically.
that he doesn't need it, right? And that's literally it. It's not like Bielsa at Leeds, where everyone was going, he needs to change it up because it isn't working. He's got the personnel, right?
Wait. Even Ferguson, right? When he's in his game, came to Arsenal Champions League semi-final and went to a 4-5-1 to win the game. Yeah, he changed personnel. He's not saying he could do that.
Yeah, because he wasn't. They weren't good enough to win on a. But if
that was their trouble year.
How was 4-3-3? If 4-3-3 was up there at that point, they'd have been playing it right and playing against other teams with it. But the Liverpool team now and Man City are that far above, they didn't need to change formation, right? And we're saying that the Pep changes. He doesn't really change anything. He might go from no striker to a striker, but actually it's still 4-3-3. That's just a striker that isn't really a striker, right? He's just deeper.
And also as well, when they do make changes, those changes are going to be subtle. So you can go to a 3-4-3 to a 3-5-2. They're very subtle changes. It's not as if you're watching the ball. So let's not pretend as if we're analysing every single tactic they make. We're not watching that. So they're going to make subtle changes. That's why they're constantly talking on the sideline. They're not just having a chat. They're talking about the tactics. But
I thought they were talking about our show.
Yeah. We see that guy Steve. He said, "I ain't my tactics." All right, let's go 3-5-2. Yeah. So they're constantly making tactical changes. Some more than others. Agreed. And Klopp seems to make them less. Agreed. But he will make them in the game. It's just that we won't notice those subtle changes. There's no way he just changes players only. He might tell Hendo to go more to the left, do this. Slow changes. Change to a holding two, a double pivot, a single pivot. They make those changes, Steve. Come on.
Once Liverpool can break down a team, Origi comes in and everything is all good. That's the Klopp way. But Dunk, with all these changes, no changes, if they do go on and they don't win the league, I know you tipped them to win the league. Really, what positions can they improve? Because we're on here saying he doesn't need to do more changes because what he's doing is working. But if he goes on and he doesn't win the league this season, then what's the improvement to make?
Well, I think he's just going to look at the squad as a whole. And if you just analyse Liverpool's squad, we've said like the forward line is seriously strong. So probably not too much work done there. Like the defense is really strong. He's probably going to have to look at like strengthening backup options or bringing through the youngsters, develop those so they've got backup options if they do get injuries to some of their players. I think midfield, if you're going to like pinpoint one place, it probably has to be midfield over like the attackers or the defenders. Again, it'd be interesting to see what they do this summer, if they're going to really splash on someone or whether they keep that same strategy that we were just talking about, bring someone in 30, 40 million. You could see them getting a big signing, maybe in midfield, maybe upping it to like 60, 70 million in that kind of region. But I think, yeah, if you were to look at the current Liverpool squad, you'd probably say like a top draw midfielder in. Would he drop someone like Henderson, like becoming a bit of a club legend? But like, obviously, you can obviously get better midfielders than Henderson, but he's a bit of a mainstay in that team. Again, what does he bring? Neil was talking about it earlier. What else do they bring to the team? So the obvious one for me would be some top draw midfielder.
Klopp must have very good man management skills. I mean, the likes of Firmino not complaining or saying they want to leave after being dropped. Oxlade-Chamberlain is still there, just chilling. It's not. Oh, I don't want. It's not a case of I want to go on loan here. I want to do anything. His man management must be. The players must love what he does. The thing when we talk about possible improvements, now let's play a game of ifs. Salah hasn't signed a contract. Will the angry one? Will Liverpool, if he doesn't sign a contract and he moves on, with the forward lineup, that's what we keep mentioning, do they have enough to be as strong next season?
No, if he goes, they're gonna have to replace him. Even if Diaz is replacing him, then they're gonna have to replace Diaz, isn't it? So they're gonna have to buy somebody because Origi's going as well, isn't he? So that's two players going. So
they'll miss him, especially for Everton games.
Yeah, so
he loves those guys. Yes,
so they're gonna have to replace at least one player, regardless. Probably two.
No, I mean clearly they'll have to replace him, but who you replace him with? That quality, that level. You mentioned Haaland. Do you think Haaland will go to Liverpool?
You want about Origi?
No, Salah.
No, Salah. Anybody, they can replace him with anybody they want, just as long as it's not Saka. They can have whoever. Yeah, I don't care.
Since we're playing ifs,
Haaland's not replacement for Salah.
Big Steve?
Yeah, what's up?
Since we're playing ifs,
welcome to the show, Steve.
do you think Saka can actually play in the Liverpool team?
He can play in the Liverpool team
and be as effective as he is for Arsenal.
With Chamberlain?
He will be effective. He will be effective. He wouldn't, if he's occupying Salah's space, he's, to be honest, if Salah leaves, right?
Yeah.
They have to look at Trent. Because at the end of the day, they have, with Salah not in the side, whoever's playing left back for the opposition will come forward more and put Trent under more defensive pressure. Yeah, so you need a more defensive-minded right winger. So Saka would actually fit.
Could you not just go to a new formation, Steve?
You could do.
Klopp can't do that.
Salah's not going anywhere. There's no ifs and buts on that. He's staying. Let's be honest. Salah's staying. He's not going anywhere. And Saka's not going to join Liverpool because Arsenal aren't going to get rid of him. Even if the checkbook came out big as it would be, Arsenal can't afford to replace Saka, and Liverpool wouldn't even be in the market for him. He's not
Liverpool.
But it's a game of ifs.
Yeah, we're playing a game of ifs. But this is a big if. This is a big if. If Liverpool win the quadruple, Salah has nothing more to prove. He doesn't. So why he might decide, you know what, PSG, Madrid, something new competition.
The same reason it wouldn't work.
Why?
All
If
the
you
same
had-
reason we were
if-
going to work, JJ. I've done my job, but I'm still going to get paid next week. So I turn up again and I get paid
No,
again.
but he could
And then I
get
turn up again the week
he could get
after.
paid more money, especially if he hasn't
They've
signed
already
now.
said now the Prem's the big money, man. That even
Yeah.
Pogba's getting offered less elsewhere because no one's got the money like the Prem's got. So either he's going to pop in, end up going to at the MLS as a designate, and then some
PSG.
dodgy sponsorship deal, right? He's not going to
I'm
PSG
pretty
because no one wants to play for PSG.
Yeah, but Pogba's a bit
I
different
like-
because Pogba's playing shit.
I like the way
So
Neil
they're gonna
just
pay
goes,
more
no
money.
one.
No one
No
wants
one-
to play for PSG anymore. They're all leaving.
How do
Even
you
the
know?
top
Shit
guys
league.
again.
But because it's a shit
Because
league.
yeah.
PSG is going to sign your top player, Barry Bannon, and let's see if he says he wouldn't go there.
Yeah, but,
We'll see who they're so League One to League One. It's a straight replacement for him, right? He's tearing up that league as well, and he's got goal of the season this year. So Barry Banner, man.
Oh,
He's at
goal
least
of the
staying
season for
playoffs.
League
That's
One.
all we care about.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
or League One. It's the same thing, right? It's the same.
Yeah, it is.
Same level of
Mbappe,
competition.
and Barry.
But guys, people keep talking about PSG and that. Yeah, PSG is a great team, but it's a dog shit league. So
Yeah.
okay, you're gonna have to play 38 games. How many games they play in France in a shit league? And if you're a competitor, you're not gonna want to do that. If you come to the end of your career, you want to pay out. Yeah, all right, take it easy, like Messi and that lot. But if you actually want to compete at the highest level and you just want a quadruple, you ain't gonna go and play in a shit league unless you're 35 or 37 or something like that. Then
Even
maybe.
Zlatan
But
left to go and play in a better league.
PSG's not going to be the only
he?
club that will come in for Salah, though.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
it's
but
got
no
to be
one
a
else is
better
going to be
league.
able to afford him. This is the problem. Like, he's not going to leave for peanuts. Otherwise, he's going to go and play for his local boyhood club, and that
He's
isn't
gonna
going
go-
to happen.
Either La Liga. I mean, you've Bundesliga, maybe you go, but it's at the Prem. Prem's where it's at the moment. I don't see you going anywhere else for what?
Madrid?
Yeah,
That's
but
the only one. But is he going to play in Madrid's team? They can't afford him. They're
What's
not
the
going to
point
pay
of
him
it?
200 grand a week.
Don't give him 400 grand a week.
They can't afford it, man. There's no other teams that can afford the money anymore. It's just not happening. It would be nice if they could, because you can have that level of competition, right, where players can
No.
pick and
Why would it
choose.
be
Is
nice?
that
who
why?
they're going to.
Is that why Liverpool is probably going? Yeah, this guy's not going to go anywhere, so he can stall as much as he wants. We've given him our last offer.
he can only go somewhere in the Prem, probably. If it's
Arsenal.
about money.
Stranger things are happening in football, man.
Yeah, but
Before you know it, the funds come from somewhere, and then before you know it, players get signed.
Everton stay up. He crosses the Mersey, you know.
He goes to Newcastle for a payday.
oh
Right?
well, yeah.
That's literally his only other option, right? He needs
that's
to
it, but-
needs to get somewhere where they can balance the books.
But that's only if it's just about the money. But yeah, they'll pay him 400 grand a week, but he'll be playing in a substandard team most likely, unless
Yeah.
it's
He's not leaving, is he?
PSG.
Well,
Does anyone really think he's going to go?
time
might do.
will tell.
He might do.
Time
He
will
might
tell.
do. You never know. You never know.
Real
If it's not
Madrid
about
want to sign Tony Rudiger. They might
Wait.
sign Salah, sign
They can't
Haaland.
afford both.
What's happened to
can't afford all three
Hazard?
of
What's
those.
happened to Hazard, by the way?
That's a good question. What has happened to Hazard?
I
He's
don't
had a
know.
bogey
He-
bad season. They don't like him. They turned on him, haven't they?
He's a league winner, though.
booed.
Bench warmer, like Bale. Yeah, they'll treat him like Bale in Madrid, so he'll probably be looking to go somewhere.
Arsenal.
Okay, boys, let's do this. Dunk,
Villa.
will Liverpool win the quadruple?
No.
No,
No, I
okay,
don't
please.
think so.
Let's do this. Answer with your head, not with the biased, pain of wanting them to win it.
Yeah, no, I'll say what I think they will win. I think, on reflection, like looking at the Prem fixtures left, you can't really see Man City slipping up. I could see them winning everything but the Prem. So I could see them the 3 cups, see them doing a triple. So I think if we're going to go at this stage for predictions, I will throw them in for the 3 cups.
Okay. Big Steve?
They'll win the FA Cup. City takes the league in the Champions League.
Neil?
Yeah, City win the league, and I don't think Liverpool win anything else other than what they've already won. I don't think they'll win the Champions League, and I don't think they'll beat Chelsea. I think it's come at I think it's just the wrong time for that game. At the end of the season, they win that game, but at the moment, there's just too many balls juggling around, right? And I think they only win what they've won, and it comes second in the league, and that's what unfortunately happens for Liverpool.
Steve and Neil just killing their season. Just end it now, boys. It's over.
And the angry one?
I think if they get to the final, they probably win it. To be honest, of the Champions League, that is. So I think they win Champions League and the Carling Cup, or whatever it's called these days.
They've already won that.
Yeah, so that's 2.
Johnston's paint trophy.
Yeah, is that what it's called these days? I thought it was called a Red Bull or something like that.
Coroba Cup. Or whatever.
Carabao. Carabao
Carabao.
Cup, Milk
It's
Cup,
that-
Rumbelows, Carlin.
It's that energy drink, innit? Whatever it is, that cup, they've won that already, and then they'll win Champions League, I reckon, if they get to the final.
Okay, different predictions here on the Kickabout. We shall see if Liverpool will become the biggest English club out there. God no. But let's see what happens. Till then, ladies and gentlemen, please, if you like what you see, what you hear, click that subscribe button, notification, follow us on all platforms. But till then, with a lot of Liverpool fans' hopes being dashed by Big Dunk, the angry one, Big Steve, and Neil saying all they shall win is the cup. Goodbye, ladies and gentlemen.
Goodbye.
But